Okay, everyone, in this segment of Small Business by the Bay, we are very fortunate to be speaking with Larry Hebert. He is the rock star of cash flow, and in this environment, with everything going on coronavirus-wise, there are just so many businesses that are actually having to close their doors. And so I wanted to have Larry on the show to really talk about his, I think you might have your top 5 monetary cash flow related tips for all those businesses out there. So Larry, before you jump into those tips, can you give the folks at home here just a tidbit on all that you do?
Sure. Thank you, Bryce. It's a pleasure to be with you. Yeah, this is an unprecedented time that we're in right now. And I've been working with clients over the last 20, 25 years, really on developing strategic plans and more in the realm of cash flow, managing inventory, and really about maintaining the money that you need to run your business. And so in this time, this is a really difficult time right now that we're all going to get through, but cash is really the thing that you really want to put your focus on to make sure that after 30, 60, 90 days, you're ready to roll when you open up again. So most of my practice right now has been around cash management and strategic planning.
Excellent. I know there's a lot of uncertainty right now. Like there's news every day that changes things, and fortunately there's a lot of resources and a lot of things are happening very quickly. I know, just to make sure that people know, at bryceroot.com we have an entire page devoted to all the links, all the details, everything related to this topic, ranging from video equipment to how to access emergency SBA funding. So it's all there. But with that said, Larry, what's your what are your top 5 tips for business owners that are in this dire situation?
Well, I've been in the last 3 days, I've talked to dozens of my clients and actually sent out an email to all of them, over 100 of them. And some of the tips I'm giving you today are some of the major ones that I had relayed to them on how they can really save cash. So the number 1 tip, I think, is you need to have a written plan. You don't want to go into this just hoping you get through it. You have to sit down. You want to have what cash you have in the bank, what are my absolute necessary expenses I need to pay, and if I need money, where am I getting it? A lot of people will just try to move their way through this with no plan, and then they get into trouble. But part of the plan, and you have that, is if you see an issue, you can take care of it now instead of it popping up 2 or 3 or 4 weeks from now, which it may do. You can take care of it now and make a plan to cover yourself in a period of time. So having a written plan, a written cash plan, is absolutely critical through this period of time.
Exactly. Better sooner than later, just because if you're going to be kind of in line with all the other business owners, it's better to be at the front of that line if you're on a wait list for gaining access to certain types of emergency response funds,
Absolutely.
Whatever it might be.
Yeah. And the second one I said is you have to really minimize your expenses right now. If here in Santa Cruz, except for a few businesses, we're shut down until April 7th. So there really is no revenue coming in. And there, of course, is always revenue. There's always expenses going out, and so you have to really look at those and minimize those. And by that I mean, if you need to cut your advertising down because there's nobody to advertise to, you need to cut your janitorial service down. Obviously, employees may not be working. You need to use as much cash as you can and really watch what you're spending to make sure that you've looked at every single one and you've cut them down to where just the bare minimum to stay moving for this period of time for the next 4 to 6 weeks.
Yeah, that's a fantastic tip. I mean, really auditing not only your cash flow, but just your overall operation. Many of the businesses that are able to function in some capacity, whether it's e-commerce or curbside pickup, whatever it might be, people are finding them via online means. So
Right.
Making sure that your Google business listing, your website, all of that has accurate, up to the minute information. If you've adjusted your hours, adjusted your ways of doing business, make sure that all the ways that people are going to find you are up to date.
Right. Yeah. Number 3 is, if you're a product-based business, you need to delay your shipments of merchandise coming in. Because what will happen if you get something in the next week or two, it's going to be due in 30 days. You may not be open yet. So, but that's money they're going to want right away. Unless they're willing to give you an extra 30 or 60 days, you need to get a hold of them. And if something's going to be supposed to be shipped April 1st, you can say, I don't need it till the 15th or the 26th or 1st of May. So that's another place where you can really save money in terms of cash coming in and going out. Yeah. Because there's no sense if you're not open, no sense having inventory on top of inventory on top of inventory. And then all the bills come due and they want their money. So that would be a tip that would be really useful, is to really communicate. And I think one of the key terms here is communicate. So you're communicating, like you just mentioned, you got to communicate with everybody. Everybody's going to be willing to help you out, whether it's a banker, a vendor, a landlord, or whatever, but you have to communicate with them. So I think in this case, communicating with your vendors and asking them to delay their shipments. And if they can't, then say, can you give me extra dating on it? So you don't have to pay for it when your revenue is just starting to come back or you're not open yet.
It's always worth asking, especially in this crazy, unpredictable climate. People are going to be very understanding, but it's always good practice to always ask. It doesn't hurt to always ask.
Yeah. The next one is, and a lot of people don't even know this is available. Next one is call your landlord. Last thing a landlord wants to do is have an empty space. So I've had some clients who called their landlord, and the landlord's probably not going to call you. But if you call the landlord and you ask them for a rent abatement for either total rent abatement for 30 days or 60 days, cut in half, what they'll probably do is then whatever you didn't pay, they'll add it on as you go down after you open up again. But then you'll have revenue coming in, particularly in our area. It's going to be the tourist season. So sales generally go up. So you should have money to pay the extra rent off. But for this period of time, if you can get it, the second thing, the highest expense you have on your P&L aside from payroll generally is rent. So if you have a $4,000 or $5,000 or $6,000 rent per month, which is not unusual for Santa Cruz, downtown or at a mall, that's $4,000 or $5,000 or $6,000 or $7,000 a month, or some part of that you can keep in your business for cash flow to make sure that you have this chunk of money available. And then as things pick up, you can pay it back. So I would definitely communicate with your landlord.
Exactly. That's a really good point. Having worked for a very large landlord before I jumped into this role, probably 6 years ago, definitely landlords are flexible depending on their stature. They may or may not give you a great deal of rent relief, or it might just be a portion. But again, it doesn't hurt to ask. It could really come into play a month from now.
Right. And the last thing, the last one that I have here, the 5, I want you to communicate with the people who understand more than anybody else. That's your banker. So they understand. So if you have a loan with them, you literally can call on the phone and ask them to give you some relief for a couple of 3 months on your loan payment. Those generally can be $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 a month, depending on how big your loan is.
Yeah.
And you can ask them, and many times, and they'll do it. Some of them, they'll just tag it on to the end. You may not even have to pay partial load down the road. They may just tag it on and extend your loan another 2 or 3 or 4 months to give you that relief. Because again, like the landlord doesn't want an empty spot, the banker doesn't want to have you miss payments or have you go out of business.
Yeah, exactly.
They'll help you to do that. And so all these things we've talked about, little things can add up to be a big thing. So if you get $1,000 here, a couple $1,000 there, you delay some payments, all of a sudden you may have saved $7,000 or $8,000 or $9,000 a month. That's $18,000, $20,000 over a 2 or 3 month period, which can be critical in terms of making it until this gets over and the revenue comes back again. But communication is the key. Communication is absolutely the key.
Yeah, I think right now is super unpredictable. With Gavin Newsom just coming out yesterday with the fact that potentially schools may not go back into session before summer. Yeah. So there's a whole lot that you need to be planning for. So if you're able to, as a business owner, if you're stuck at home or at the office and not operating, really taking stock, like sitting down, planning, getting down like that plan of action, auditing your books, your expenses, your marketing. Yeah. How are you going to generate some income? Like just how to plan. Use this time to really plan for not only this current time of uncertainty, but also plan for the time that's hopefully not too far off, where all things are fixed and we're back in action, getting back to normalcy.
And I think you mentioned earlier, and I mentioned this to a lot of my clients. It was one of my 5. I was limited to 5. I had about 10 of them. But one of them is, if you have an online business, really promote that online business. Promote it and try to generate revenue over the web or over your website or however you're going to do it. But you can maybe generate revenue, because if people are coming into your store, they'll still want to buy things. They just can't come into your store. But if you have a website where they can order off of, and UPS and FedEx are still delivering, then you can generate revenue that way. So there's other ways that I think you mentioned earlier. It's a great point. But that's to do that as well.
And being a big proponent of video, I would highly recommend that if you do have an online portion of your store, of your operation, trying to incorporate video into some of the listings. Like, there are some businesses that do a really good job on Instagram to describe what the products are.
Right.
The more that you can tell the customer why it's a perfect product and the ingredients and what it feels like, what it can do to better their life,
right,
better. A still picture in a description that's a paragraph long is not going to sell as well as something that's put on video, and really you're catering, showcasing why it's perfect for your customers.
Well, you've done that. I want to compliment you, because I look at your series every time a new one comes out, and you've got so many videos about customers, and now you're doing videos on a situation that's here. You're communicating with so many people. So you personally and your company have really helped out a lot of people and put a lot of information out there that's going to be very valuable to people. So I thank you from my clients that watch your stuff as well, watch your videos as well. It's really very, very helpful.
Excellent. Thank you, Larry. I appreciate that.
Yeah. So a couple more things. I just come up. The federal taxes have been extended to July 15th. And the state tax has been delayed till June 15th. You can pay with no penalty or interest. That's money you can save. The SBA now have what's called SBA disaster relief loans at 3.75%. You can apply for those by going to sba.gov or calling 800-659-2955. And they're encouraging you to do that. So the earlier you do it, the closer you get to the top. But there's an application process to go through. But they're putting, I think, $1 trillion into this to try to help people and to try to help small businesses get back on their feet and make sure that they make it through this unprecedented period of time.
Exactly. And I know San Francisco has an amazing set of programs. There's even like a small business relief fund that's been put together for employers with 5 employees or less. So the 3 resources that I would recommend are checking out your local economic development office, whether it's for your city or your county.
Right.
Of course, your SBDC. There are 17 SBDCs throughout Northern California, actually 18 if you count Salinas and Monterey's office. And then also, if you check out bryceroot.com, I have an entire page with all those links, the ones that you just mentioned, Larry, phone numbers, fantastic articles, everything, like from a very comprehensive nature that you need as a business owner. And I'm updating that every time I see something that has value to it.
Yeah, and I think the SBDC, we're part of it, but I think it's a great way to go. We're getting calls already. We're here to help people. And many of us have been through this before. Not necessarily this exact one, but there have been slowdowns over the last 20 or 30 or 40 years I've been around in business. And there are things that I've done that have helped us. All the people, yourself and the other advisors for the SBDC, we've gone through these things. We're here to help people. They should not hesitate to pick up the phone, whether it's you're in our area or if you're over in the San Jose area or the Bay Area someplace. Call up and get a hold of the SBDC. That's why they're there, is to help you, get through things.
And they have advisors in every section of business, whether it's HR and you're dealing with some of the employee related issues right now, or funding, cash flow, marketing, all of that, and it's free. That's right. On the cake. So,
and the last thing I'll leave is that we're going to get through this. This is a bumpy road, and it's affected a lot of people, but we are going to get through it as a community, as a team, and just do everything we've talked about, and really scrutinize your business. be very conservative in what you do, and you'll get through the other side and back on track.
Excellent. Fantastic advice, Larry. Well, thank you, Larry, for joining us. This is just one of probably several videos that we'll be doing with Larry.
Yeah.
We'll plug there for us being on camera soon again.
That's right.
And yeah. And be sure to, Larry, what's the best way for people to get in touch with you if they want to get some really hands-on one-on-one advice from you?
They can either go to my website at Larry Hebert, Hebert consulting.com, or they can give me a call on my cell, 831-247-4628. I'm happy to help anybody.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Larry, and thank you everyone for watching. Stay tuned. We have many more segments like this coming soon. I'm not going to be out and about like I normally am, but I will be on video interviewing the folks that matter that will be getting you the information you need as a small business owner in this kind of really crazy time. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon. Bye, you guys.
Bye-bye.